At the inheritance meeting, I asked why my name was missing. My dad said, "We forgot you." And everyone laughed. Your grandma handed everything to the golden child. Know your place. My mom added, I just smiled. The estate lawyer entered and said, "We have a sealed letter." He read the wool excerpt from the last page. The room fell silent. But when the lawyer read the next line, "My name's Albert. I'm 33, a commercial pilot, the oldest child, the one who shows up early and flies home late. I know gate codes, emergency procedures, and how to land in crosswinds. I also know how my family works, praise for my younger brother, jokes at my expense, and silence when I ask for fairness. People think pilots live glamorous lives. Mostly, it's alarms at 4 a.m., stiff coffee, and smiling through delays. On my days off, I fix things at Mom's house. Smoke detectors, leaky sink, the garage door. When my little sister needed tuition for a certificate, I sent a transfer and told her to call it a loan without a due date. When Dad asked for help after his second layoff, I drove him to interviews, bought him a simple suit, and pretended I didn't notice Mom saying, "Don't make him feel small." I was the dependable one, the he'll figure it out son, the one who skipped trips so there'd be money for someone else. The inheritance meeting was scheduled for a Wednesday, 10 a.m. I landed from a red eye at 8:07, eyes burning from the dry air, uniform jacket over my arm. Grandma had passed 2 months earlier. She raised us after school. She kept a jar of caramels in the pantry and a ledger in a drawer. She wrote everything down, even who took the last tea bag. She'd say, "The only way to stay kind is to stay clear." I believed her. We met at the lawyer's office. Walnut table. Little glasses of water sweating onto coasters. My brother Mark arrived in gym shorts and a hoodie, gold chain flashing. My mom straightened her blouse and hissed, "Don't start anything," like I'd planned to fight. Dad kept his sunglasses on indoors. My sister hugged me and whispered, "You look tired." I did. I hadn't slept. The trigger hit before the lawyer even sat down. I checked the printed list on the table, names and allocations. My name wasn't there. "Where am I?" I asked calm like I'd asked for extra napkins. Dad didn't blink. "We forgot you," he said. Mark laughed through his nose. Mom added, "Your grandma handed everything to the golden child. Know your place." She nodded toward Mark. He took care of her. "You were always gone. I was flying." I said, "Exactly," Mom said. I felt my jaw tighten for 1 second. Then I smiled. A pilot smile. The one that says we'll hit turbulence, but we'll be fine. The estate lawyer came in, gray suit, precise voice. "We have a sealed letter," he said. He opened a thick envelope and read Grandma's handwriting. He started on the last page. The room went silent. My mother's mouth flattened. Mark leaned back and folded his arms like he already knew the ending. Then the lawyer read the next line, and the room changed. And, "If anyone laughs," he read, "stop and check the math." No one moved. Even the AC seemed to hold its breath. I didn't say a word. I just watched. You don't become a pilot without routine. Mine started long before I ever flew. At 17, I worked mornings at the airfield cafe for tips and afternoons washing Cessnas for free flight time. At 19, I slept in my car, sometimes set alarms at 2 a.m. to study checklists under a gas station light. Grandma would slide cash into my palm and say, "This is not charity. This is momentum." I promised I'd pay her back. She said, "You'll pay the world back. That's enough." My parents loved results, not process. They loved diplomas on walls and photos with perfect lighting. They loved Mark's announcements, his podcast, his brand, his mentorship course that was mostly reposted quotes. When he borrowed Grandma's car and dented the door, Dad said, "He's young." When I missed a barbecue for simulator time, Mom said, "You're selfish." Money with my family was a story you were assigned. Mark's story, he was one big breakaway. My story, I was fine. Fine meant I paid for things without mentioning them. Fine meant I sent Zelle transfers for emergencies that kept happening. It meant I replaced Dad's hot water heater and let him tell everyone a buddy gave him a discount. 3 years ago, when Grandma fell and broke her hip, I picked up red ice to be in town. I changed light bulbs and medication times. I labeled drawers. I said autopay on her utilities. Mark posted a selfie eating soup with her and wrote, "Time is the real wealth." He stayed for 20 minutes. It got worse after Dad's second layoff. Mom started saying, "Your brother's under pressure. Albert, help him just this once." Just this once ballooned the way temporary leases become 5-year plans. Mark asked for $3,000 for a coaching certification, then $4,500 for inventory. When I hesitated, he'd send a voice note. "Bro, you don't get it. The algorithm is about to turn in my favor. It's the window." He said, window like gravity didn't apply to him. One night, Mark called at 11:54 p.m. "I need $7,200 by tomorrow. The course closes at noon. I'm on a 6 a.m. departure." I said, "No." He went quiet. Then, "Wow, thought you were family." The line went dead. Mom called 5 minutes later. "He's your brother." "I know." I said, "You should help him out just this once." Her voice slid into the old groove. "He's trying to better his life. He's trying to buy time," I said. "With my hours." Silence, then the gentle blade. "You've always been selfish." I swallowed the heat rising in my throat. "I have a flight," I said, and hung up. It should have ended there, but family systems don't end. They recycle. The next day, I stopped by to fix their thermostat. Mark was on the couch, controller in hand. He smirked as I walked in. "Still not going to help?" "Nope." He stood, paced to the hallway, and blocked it with his body. "Say you're sorry," he said, grinning like it was a joke. "For what?" "For forgetting who runs this family." I didn't answer. I stepped around him, swapped out the thermostat batteries, and left. That night, a cousin texted me a screenshot of the family group chat. "Mark Albert's making money. His whole personality." An aunt replied with an eye roll emoji. Mom wrote, "He's not good with people." I scrolled in bed. The room blew with phone light and felt something cold settle. Anger burns fast. If you let it cool, it turns into something sharper. Patience. I logged into my accounts and changed passwords. I canceled the streaming profiles everyone used. I turned off the Apple Music family plan. Small stuff. Noise reduction. 2 weeks later, Grandma died in her sleep. I booked the red-eye home. At the wake, Mark shook hands like a candidate. "We're doing a fundraiser in her honor." He told anyone with a pulse. He added, "I'll run it." He didn't ask. He declared. After the funeral, there was a family discussion at Mom's kitchen table. My name was a chip they slid around when needed. Mom said, "Your brother's going to live with Grandma to maintain the house until probate ends." She said, "Maintain like protect." She looked at me. "You'll cover the property tax for a quarter, just until we sort out the accounts." "That's not mine," I said. Dad leaned back, crossed his arms. "Everything you have came from this family." "That's not true," I said. And it wasn't even loud. Mark smirked. "You wouldn't have even started without Grandma's help." He looked at Mom like he'd landed the punch. "You owe us." I thought of the gas station light, the Cessna, the coffee that tasted like cardboard. I thought of Grandma's ledger and the jar of caramels. I said nothing. 2 days later, Mom called. "We set the inheritance meeting for next Wednesday. 10 a.m., don't be late." I land at 8 o'clock. I said, "Good," she said. "Dress nicely. Don't embarrass us." At the lawyer's office, I did what I always do. I arrived on time. I smiled at the receptionist. I chose water, not coffee. I sat straight, and then I saw the list. My name missing. Dad's joke. Mom's cold sentence. Mark's laugh. I looked at the lawyer. He opened the envelope. He started at the end. "Stop and check the math." He read. Mark stopped smiling. Grandma kept receipts. I knew this, but I hadn't expected what came next. A clean ledger, not just of what she owned, but of what she gave. Dates, amounts, notes in tiny script, paid for tires, rent in February, medication. Albert repaid 2018 to 2022. The numbers didn't lie. The story we'd all been given did. The lawyer flipped a page to Albert. He read, "Who always brought the tools back, who paid me back without being asked, and who told the truth even when we didn't. Mom shifted in her chair. Dad cleared his throat. Mark squeezed the plastic water cup until it popped. The lawyer kept reading calm, like calling final approach. To the child called Golden, he read, "You are loved all the same, but you are not owed." Nobody laughed. The breaking point wasn't me shouting. It wasn't a slam door. It was me saying one word in the quiet. No. The lawyer had laid out the allocations. Grandma's house to be sold. The proceeds divided a certain way. A small trust established. Specific items gifted. Her recipe book to my sister. Her wedding ring to me for the woman you choose. Her ledger going to the lawyer for the record. There was a clause. If anyone contested their share, reduced to $1. Grandma had done her homework. Mom leaned forward. "We will not sell the house." She said Mark needs a base. It makes sense he holds it until he can refinance. Family stays with family. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mrs. Garrison, the will is guidance," Mom said. "We'll do what's best for us." That's when I spoke. "No." The room rippled. Mom turned slow. "Excuse me." "No," I said again, steady. "We follow the will." Dad laughed once sharp. "You think you can force us?" "I don't have to," I said. "She already did." Mark leaned forward. "Bro, be smart. Let me hold it for a year. The market is trash now. We'll all benefit if I play this right." "Play," I echoed. "With what money?" He blinked. "With the funds," he said like there was a line I'd missed. "The funds you withdrew from Grandma's account in the last 3 months." I asked light as a weather briefing. "The withdrawals you labeled groceries that were ATM pulls at a casino ATM and a sneaker store." Mom's face changed. "Albert, that's private." The lawyer tapped the ledger. "Mrs. Garrison, your mother authorized copies of her statements to accompany her will." I slid a simple folder from my bag. I didn't make a speech. I laid out printed statements with yellow highlighter. Dates. Amounts. A screenshot from Mark's public story. His new watch. A timestamp. I keep receipts. It's my job. Mark knocked the water over. "You're really going to do this to family? You did this?" I said I'm naming it. Moaned at me. "You have always looked down on us, on your brother." "I have paid your bills," I said. I never called it out loud. "Albert." Dad snapped. "Lower your voice." I swallowed. I looked at my sister. Her eyes were glassy. She whispered, "Is it true?" Mark rolled his eyes. "It's called cash flow." The lawyer folded his hands. "The will instructs the executive to freeze the estate accounts immediately and to list the property within 30 days. It also instructs that any pre-sale occupancy be charged fair market rent payable to the estate rent." Mark barked. "I'm family. We are all family." I said we all read the same lines. Mom tried another angle. "You're gone most of the month. The house needs someone. Mark is here. The house needs to be sold." I said that's what she wrote. Mark stood. He tried a glare. It landed like a pout. "If you push this," he said, "don't ask me for anything again." I almost laughed. "Okay." He waited for me to flinch. I didn't. The lawyer slid another paper forward. "There's one more item," he said. "A letter addressed to you, Mr. Garrison." He nodded to me. I opened it. Grandma's handwriting. Neat and small. "Albert," she wrote. "People will tell you you're cold when you stop warming them. You are not cold. You're done burning." The room blurred for a second, then sharpened. Mom scoffed. "She always spoiled you. She recorded every dollar." I said she spoiled the truth. I turned to the lawyer. "I won't contest anything. I'll sign as written. I will not cover anyone's side deals. I won't be the bank." Mom tried one last thing. "What will people think?" She wanted shame to do its old work. I answered, "They'll think we followed a will." I pushed my chair back. "I have to get to the airport." I said I have a flight. After a breaking point, there's paperwork. We don't talk about that. We talk about big speeches and dramatic exits. But really, the aftermath is calls, emails, a lockbox key, a locksmith because Mark changed the backdoor code for safety. It's the realtor taking photos while mom stands on the sidewalk, arms crossed, telling the neighbor, we're just exploring options. It's me emailing the executive and CCG the lawyer. The subject line's clean, listing timeline. Utility readings. Final meter photo attached. It's breakfast alone at 5 a.m. eggs rubbery. Flight bag at the door. It's sleeping in hotel rooms that smell like lemon cleaner and air that's too dry. You stare at the ceiling and think about ledgers and jars of caramels. It's family chat silent for a week, then exploding at 11:13 p.m. mark. You're a snake. Mom, you humiliated us. Dad, we expect you to apologize to your mother. My sister. I didn't know. I typed one message. Please direct all estate questions to the executive. I muted the chat. I moved with a new kind of quiet. I stopped defending myself. I stopped explaining. When a cousin texted, we heard you forced a sale. I sent a screenshot of a clause. Any contest equals $1. I didn't add commentary. I didn't need to. The line spoke. Mark escalated. Of course he did. He tried to move into the house and made an Instagram reel on Grandma's porch. He hashtag #LeLegacy and grind. The executive sent a rent demand. Mark posted a story calling it harassment. I sent the story to the executive. They sent a notice to vacate. When he called me 5 times in a row, I let it ring. I had pre-flight to run. Fuel, weather, alternate airports. Mom tried shame again. You made your brother homeless. He has an apartment. I said he kept 2. That's not the point, she said. It's exactly the point, I said. On a layover in Denver, I walked the hotel hallway to burn off the noise in my head. A passenger recognized me from the flight and said, you looked calm in that turbulence. Thank you. I nodded. That's the job, I said. I thought, it's also the life. 2 months in, we had a buyer, a young couple with a baby. They loved the kitchen and the big maple in the yard. I stood in the empty living room, the carpet lines still visible from the cleaner, and I felt it in my chest. Grief and relief braided together. I touched the wall where Grandma used to lean to tie her shoes. The pain of shade lighter there. I said, thank you, out loud and hoped nobody heard me. When the sale closed, the checks went out per the will. No surprises, no corrections. Mark got less than he'd fantasized, more than he deserved. Mom texted, it's not enough. I didn't reply. That week, my life got bigger and quieter at the same time. I flew an Anchorage run I'd been bidding on for months. Long stretches of blue and white, the kind of cold that cleans your head. After touchdown, I walked outside, breath like smoke, and felt more like myself than I had in years. I started saying yes to things that weren't fixing problems. Coffee with a flight attendant who loves bad horror movies. A Saturday morning volunteering at the aviation program Grandma used to donate coffee cans to for kids' model planes. A used guitar leaning against the wall in my apartment because I wanted noise that wasn't someone else asking. The family didn't like my quiet. Mark attempted a new tactic. He posted a screenshot of a fundraiser in honor of Grandma. $25,000 goal funds to start a nonprofit for financial literacy. I texted the executive the link. They replied, we'll ask for documentation. Within a day, the fundraiser disappeared. Mark posted a gym selfie instead and captioned it. Keep pushing when they want you to quit. Okay. Aunt Rebecca called and opened with, we all think you took things too far. I said, we followed the will. She said, still. I said, I have to pre-flight, and politely ended the call. I wasn't rude. I was exact. That was new for me. My sister came over with a box of index cards. Grandma's recipes, she said, eyes wet. She wanted you to have copies. We sat on my floor. We read, mashed potatoes, more butter than you think. We laughed and cried at the same time. She said, I'm sorry I didn't see it. I said, me too. Not for the will, for the years. 3 months in, Mark sent one more message. You happy you broke the family? I typed and deleted 3 replies. I settled on one. I set a boundary. It broke the system. I put my phone face down. I went to the window and watched a contrail scratch the sky. At work, Someone put my name in for a training program. I got it. It meant better routes, fewer overnights, more control of my schedule. I signed the acceptance, then sat still and let the good thing be good. I made a list of simple purchases. New luggage, a better pan, a brighter lamp. I checked off each one over a month. Cash, no drama. It felt like reclaiming square inches of life. On a Sunday, I took the ledger photocopy the lawyer had given me and slipped it into a manila folder at the back of my closet. I wasn't going to stare at it every day. It wasn't a trophy. It was proof I wasn't crazy that matters. The biggest change wasn't money. It was permission to eat dinner when I was hungry, not when mom needed a ride. To say yes to a movie on a Tuesday. To turn off my phone and sleep. To believe that care can be quiet and still be real. One night, I dreamed of Grandma. She was at the kitchen table counting caramels into a bowl. She looked up and said, "We don't keep score to win. We keep score to know when to stop." I woke up with my chest unclenched in a way I hadn't felt since I was 19 under a gas station light. I made coffee and texted my sister a photo of the sky from my balcony. She sent back a heart. No one else texted me for 2 days. It was bliss. The final phone call came on a Thursday afternoon right before pushback. "Mom, I let it go to voicemail." We took off. We climbed through a thin layer and leveled into bright air. 2 hours later on Taxi In, I listened. Her voice was small. "Albert, your brother needs money for a retainer. He's in trouble. Just this once. For me." I closed my eyes. The old script tried to play for me. Just this once. I deleted the message. That night, I wrote down what I'd learned. Not for a blog, not for a post, just for me. It was short. Love doesn't mean access. Boundaries are not cruelty. I am not cold. I'm done burning. I put the paper in the same folder as the ledger copy. I cooked dinner. I washed the pan. I set my alarm for a reasonable hour and turned my phone face down. A week later, my sister and I met at the park. We sat by the big maple. Not Grandma's, but close enough in spirit. She said, "They're saying you don't care about family." I said, "I care about truth." She nodded. "Me too." She took a deep breath. "I'm moving out. I got a cheap place with a friend. I'm going to pay my own bills." I smiled. "You'll be okay," I said. She grinned. "I know." On my next Anchorage run, I carried Grandma's ring in a small velvet box in my flight bag. Not because I was ready to use it, because keeping it with me felt right. The airplane hummed. The cabin lights were low. I watched the wing carve the air and thought about how Grandma wrote everything down and loved us anyway. How she said kindness needs clarity. I don't check the family chat anymore. They still talk. They still try to rearrange the story around their comfort. They still call me names when I take away a convenience they confuse for love. That's fine. I'm not their audience anymore. I'm the guy who lifts a heavy thing into the sky and brings it down safe. I'm the one who sends a transfer when it's needed, not when it's demanded. I'm the son who will show up for truth even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely for a while. People ask if I feel guilty. I say I feel free. Then I add, I feel honest. They look surprised, like freedom and honesty are the same word. Maybe they are. Some nights I still wake up at 3 a.m. with old guilt jangling in my chest. The difference is what I do next. I pour water. I stand at my window. I breathe. I say out loud, I'm not cold. Then I go back to bed. The morning after one of those nights, I found an envelope under my apartment door. No return address. Inside was a photo of Grandma sitting at her kitchen table, the ledger open, a caramel halfway unwrapped. My sister had slipped it there on her way to work. On the back, she'd written clear and kind. I put the photo on my fridge. It doesn't glow like a notification. It doesn't argue. It just sits there reminding me of the rule that finally saved me. Keep score to know when to stop, then stop live. So here's the moral. Simple and clean. I won't let anyone, not even family, spend me past empty. I won't hand over my name to buy their comfort. I'll choose quiet love over loud debt. That's my place.